Hey, welcome to Echoes of Impact with Noura. This is your host, Noura Almasri. Welcome to the show. I'm really excited about this show because we have a special guest. She's a writer. She's going to talk to us about her writing journey and a lot more. But before we start talking to her today, I wanted to touch base about one important thing. We are only a few days away from having the first part of 2024 behind us. We are mid-year, guys. So are you ready for the next half of the year? Did you check what have you been doing month by month? If you haven't been checking your goal progress, if you haven't been looking at what have you achieved every month or every week, it's now the good time to actually look back and see what did you do for the beginning of the 6 month of the 6 month of the beginning of the year. What did you do so far? Did you achieve your business goal? Did you achieve your personal goal? Or if you did not achieve it because it's not until the end of the year, or maybe like it's a 2-year progress or something, like are you in the right track? Are you on a good are you progressing on that goal or not? I want you to go look at your plan in the beginning of the year, and hopefully you have one. If you did not have one, don't worry, it's never late. You can start one. Let me tell you, like on December 2023, I sat down with my kids who are young adult now, like 21 and 22, but we always do some sort of these exercises like about like setting goals, like what we want to achieve, what are we looking to do, how was actually our last year, like evaluate the year. And this year we did this activity actually on December, and we used the tool. I was so excited about, like, I used actually Mel Robbins' Best Year notebook, and it was actually workbook. It was a fun questions, a lot of fun questions, like evaluating the year, what happened during the year. And we set, all three of us, we evaluated last year, and we set like a wide range, like, okay, what we want to achieve this year in personal life or in business. Now, this is for your personal thing. If you can, I think you can still get it from her website. You can just go get it if you are interested in having that fun activity or anything. You can start with pen and paper or any other resources. I'm just telling you what we did as a family. Now, what you can do for your business is different than your personal life. It's a must if you want to progress in your business, if you want to actually achieve your goal, the revenue goal, the income goal. And this is going to apply to your nonprofits as well. Are you getting the funding you are looking for? How many donors do you have so far? Where are you at your goal? So this works with everything, every project you have, especially for you guys in business, which include nonprofit as usual. You need to have a budget if you don't already have one. So every year you have to have a budget expectation, like what are you looking to get? What are you looking to receive? And from there, you're gonna actually measure it every month and make sure you are on track. Now, maybe I hear you saying, I don't know what's gonna happen during the year. What if something did not work out? Well, that's fine, because nothing's set on stone. Budget is just a guide, but it's flexible. You should be able to actually adjust it as you go, but you want to keep an alignment with your goals. You want to focus on your goals and actually measure it every time, because what get measured get done. Like you cannot measure something, you cannot do something and not able to measure it and get it better. How do you know if it's good or not? How do you know where are you at from 1 to 10? If you are doing work, like you might feel busy, but really you're not progressing. So if you are not able to measure, you have a measurement, like whether in dollar amount or head counts, whatever that measurement, you need to be able to measure. And if you do not have a budget and a business plan, you're not going to be able to measure anything. Therefore, you cannot improve. You will be lost. You're not going to be able to actually determine where to go. So you want to measure your progress now. You can adjust. You can find a solution. Consult with someone who can help you with your business, with your nonprofit, and a life coach in your life. But this is a great time because you don't want to lose yet another year without doing and having what you want to do. We cannot get back years. So if you lose 2024, it's not going to come back. It's gone. So make sure you don't lose it. If a life event happened, that's okay. Adjust your plan to work with what you have right now in order to set you for success eventually. So have that in your mind. Now, I want to invite you, if you are in nonprofits, to get my book, How to Start, Manage, and Prosper with a Nonprofit. This is a book actually can serve as a guide for you in a nonprofit, and it will tell you if you are on the right track or not. It's going to tell you if you are planning to start a nonprofit, if you are on actually, if you are going to need any help, if you did not want, if you did not start yet, is it the right fit for you or not? So it's going to help you a lot. It's available on my website, and it's also available on Amazon. So you can get the book. It's going to help you. You can give that book as a gift for someone who's thinking to start a nonprofit or who's already in nonprofits. I also have a free masterclass for nonprofits and for businesses to help you plan. So you can actually get into my website and get onto those masterclasses totally for free. And there are a lot of resources, a lot of people offering. See what fits you, what fits your needs, what does align with your values, with what you're doing, and go seek help if you cannot do it alone. Have an accountability partner, have a coach. Just make sure you do the right thing for you and your business or your nonprofit. Because again, if 2024 ended, it's not coming back. So remember to work into your goal and achieve your goal. Like I don't know if I mentioned that yet. July is my birthday month, and I have a lot of great things for you. We're gonna start the month with a great guest. We're gonna talk about mindset, because mindset is very important when you are in business or nonprofit. Mindset, this is where you start. When I started my business, I did not think it's going to have to do anything with my personal life or with my mindset. I was like, okay, I went to business school. So money in, money out, math, 1 + 1 = 2. When it comes to a business or a nonprofit, no, this is not how it goes. It has a lot to do with your mindset. It has a lot to do with actually your inner self, with how you deal with money, how you deal with anything in your personal life. A lot of complication goes into this. And I did not recognize that until I started my business and I had a wall. And a lot of business owners had that wall, but it might be a different color, but we all find a lot of things we have to overcome in order to achieve our goal, in order to be able to grow our business. It starts with in yourself, it starts with your mindset, and everything will change when you work on that, your mindset and with your inner world. So you need to keep that in mind before you give up on your business, before you give up on your nonprofits. You need to seek help, seek guidance, and put a plan. Again, if you do not have a plan, you're not going to be able to go to the road. Like if you don't have the GPS on right now or a map in all days, right? You're not going to be able to go to somewhere that you did not go to before. You don't have the direction. But when you have the GPS on, or you already have that map with you, if there's no GPS for some reason in all days, you have a guide. That's what the business plan is. The budget is the same thing. That's your financial plan. And you want to make sure you have that available to you, so you can refer back to it. Again, it's going to be flexible. You're going to change it as you go, but you want to make sure you stay focused and everything in alignment of what you are trying to do. Right? I can't wait to introduce my guest. She's amazing, and you're going to learn a lot about her writings. If you are interested to writing books, you're going to get tons of value. She's going to talk about self-publishing and publishing with the publishers. She did both. So I'm not going to tell you a lot. You're going to hear from her. This is your host, Noura Almasri. I'll see you after the break. Welcome back. This is your host, Noura Almasri, and this is Echoes of Impact with Noura. I'm really excited today to introduce my special guest, who is a writer, a teacher, and a lot more. She actually helped other people write as well. So I'm not going to talk about her a lot, because I'm going to leave that stage for her to talk about it. So welcome to the show, Victoria. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you on. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you end up in a writing space?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a writer ever since I was probably 9 years old, as I think when I did my first actual book for a school project, and it just inspired me to keep going. So I wrote a lot of poetry and short stories growing up, and then kind of always knew I wanted to be a writer in some way. I mean, even back when we did like the career paper in high school, we had to pick two careers, and I picked teacher and freelance writer. So I kind of knew, and I've been both. So I kind of knew from an early age that was what I was good at, what I wanted to do. But yeah, it's never an easy path. It's never a straight path. So yeah, so I've been a teacher at different points. I've been a writer at different points. I've worked at magazines. I've done it all basically. Yeah.
That's awesome. So how did you actually get inspiration to write? Like, did you used to read a lot? Like, what exactly, when was the spark? Like, yeah, I'm gonna write one day.
Yeah, I mean, I really read a lot as a child. My brother is only 11 months older than I am, and so when he was learning to read with my mom, I was there, and so I just kind of absorbed it a lot earlier, and so I've always been a really avid reader. And really that helps, well, for me, it helped me learn a great many words. I have a very extensive vocabulary, which I have now transferred to my children. And they'll pull out words that like their peers have no idea about. But then yeah, so I would just write stories. I like to try to organize people like friends, and that never seemed to go well because people have their own agendas. And so then I would create my own little worlds in stories that I could ultimately control. And so that's where it began. And I just started writing little snippets of stories that maybe never went anywhere. And then, like, finally, freshman year in high school, I had this crush. And he was in my gym class, and he slid up next to me and says, write a story about me. I'm like, okay, give me a character. And so I did. I wrote a 50-page little novella, and I gave it to him, and he literally cried on it. He was like so touched. But then if that story sat with me for the next maybe 11, 12, 13 years, um maybe even more than that, maybe like 15. And I sat on it. It grew with me. I wrote it. I kept developing it over time as I grew up, and then I added characters when I met people that I wanted to kind of add something in there. So that one really grew up with me. So that one took a long time to write. So nearly 13 or 15, probably 15 years. Because yeah, it'd be well, more than that, 17. Huh, ridiculous. So yeah, so if somebody asks me like how long does it take you to write a novel? It can be 4 months or it could be 17 years.
Mhm.
Really, it's what you're inspired to do and how your life develops. So, I mean, there's elements of growing up in the first book, and so that was kind of evidenced with how it developed within me. So my writing goes along my journey of life, and so that's kind of I draw inspiration from kind of things I'm going through, but it's all fiction.
So you did actually publish the story you wrote for your crush.
Yeah, I didn't publish the little story, but I submitted it to a publisher
Uh-huh.
back then, and they gave me this acceptance letter. But I'm like, it didn't feel right because I'm like, that's not all I want to do with it. So I said, nah, we'll wait. And then yeah, it just grew up with me. So and then finally I was ready, and I went to a publisher, and I'm like, here's what I got.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, and it snowballed from there, and I got three books out of there. And but now I self-publish. I like it better. There's more
Mm-hmm.
control, and I can do what I want with it. So
So what do you like you mentioned control. You like control about self-publishing, but what else like you have? Like if someone's thinking about it, like they want to weigh pros and cons, like what would you say that tell them like about each one?
well, it's much faster to self-publish.
Uh,
Because if you're going through a publisher, there's lines and lines and lines and procedures and procedures and editors. And while that can improve the work, it can also take you out of the work if you're not careful about how it's structured.
mhm.
Um, so, and then, I mean, I get to create the cover art as well. I mean, I can have someone do it, but I've decided to choose the covers. So like I've personally built all the covers, but the one of my most recent novel I actually designed myself. And so it's kind of fun with that, and I don't have to get approval from anybody what it's titled, and I don't have to worry about, not being able to read the title. Like my first book, everyone's like, "Oh, it's we part." No, it's in death we part. You can't see the in death, and I couldn't publisher make changes, and that was a problem. So maybe it was my naivete when I was going through the process that I didn't see that, but it's kind of like, huh, I should have made the title clearer, those kind of things. So, and it can take longer if you're doing it yourself because you have to work through all the stages. But once you get really fluid with what it takes, it's actually quite a fast process.
Oh, that's nice. And do you help other authors also to write?
I
So how
do.
do you help people to write?
I help them at any stage they want me to. I can go from like with nonfiction, I'll go as far back as like helping them organize their thoughts and structure the piece, kind of give them guidelines. I'm working with a woman right now on that. And I'm just kind of her sounding board. I kind of helped her with the structure, and now she's going back and doing a lot of the work, and then she's like sending me progress, just so I can be like, yes, you're on the right track, that kind of thing. But I usually come in once the manuscript is complete, and
Mhm.
then I can do all the levels of editing. I can go in and do content editing or kind of developmental editing. But generally, I like to leave the author's voice intact. So I'm not going to go in and just demand that they rip out scenes or pull things out. I want to see where they're going with the story. And often on a second read, everything makes sense. So,
Uh-huh.
so it's good. So there's a lot of editing processes and procedures, and they go from in like deep into content to just the grammar and smoothing out and making sure the punctuation there. And then there's of course layout editing. So I also do that. And then I
Mhm.
help them source where to get it published. So yeah.
Oh, that's nice. So do you work also in the design? Because when we write, like it has to be designed like based on the size of the book and everything. So do you help with that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And that comes in the later stages. You always
Uh-huh.
do the main editing before you put it into layout because things shift around really easily. So you want to do the bulk of the editing before that, but once it's in layout, there like a line might sit weird, the gapping might be too much. So yeah, and I do the footers and the headers and making sure the pages are on the right side because that's adorable when it comes out wrong.
Yeah.
And I did that once. The first book I tried to self-publish, I thought I had all the pages in there, and then it comes back from the printer, and I'd ordered like 2,000 copies.
Oh my God.
It comes back from the printer, and it's backwards.
Oh.
So like the left pages are on the right side on the right, and it was one page that I missed in the PDF. So I've learned a lot, and I know what it takes to go in there. And novels are different than children's books, and I do those as well. And but yeah, it's a different process in either way. But yeah, I like to help people have at whatever stage they want me to.
That's awesome. And you mentioned you help people with nonfiction. Did you write fiction and nonfiction yourself, like your books, or only fiction?
Yeah, I personally only write fiction because I don't feel like maybe I could write an advice book, but I don't feel like that's my wheelhouse.
Okay.
I prefer to weave stories, and I like to get people emotional, and that's kind of
Mhm.
that's why I write women's fiction, because I really delve into the emotional journey of women at different stages in their life with different traumas and different paths and choices. So yeah, but I like helping people with nonfiction because that's someone else's passion. And I
Mhm.
mean, my passion's in the words. So if I can meld my passion for words with someone else's passion for their content, I think that's a really beautiful collaboration. And that's the way I like to go about it. Because like, I mean, like I've helped people on self-help books, poetry books, novels, of course, but I kind of like the nonfiction because it's someone else's passion, and I like to help massage it into the format it needs to be so it can be reality.
That's awesome. And how can people actually work with you? Where can they find you? So they say, hey, come help us with our book.
Yeah. I mean, I've got my website, which is victoriajhyla.com. It's there on the screen. And that has my editing page. It has has examples of my editing things I've published for other people. It's got all my works. So yeah, my contact is right through that website. That's the easiest point of contact. Um, yeah, and I prefer to get emailed because I like to have things in print so I can negotiate that way. So
Mhm.
yeah, I just like when people email me, and I make it a habit to respond quickly when I do get inquiries, even if they're just like, what should I do? And
Yeah.
then I'm like, well, I can give you well, I do offer a free consultation for any work, just because I want to see where they're at in the project and where they do need help. I'm not in the business of trying to gouge people for money. Like if you can do most of it yourself, I want you to do that because that gives you ownership of your material. But I can come in if you need the editing and the formatting and the publishing, or I
Mhm.
can help you develop as well. So
Awesome. Thank you so much, Victoria. We'll come back to you after the break. Hey, guys, this is Echoes of Impact with Noura. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Noura Almasri, and this is Echoes of Impact with Noura. We're back again with Victoria. We're talking about how she helps people writing their books, and we're gonna ask her now about her books. Where can we get your books, Victoria?
yeah, my books are on all the major e-tailers like Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and all those things too. You can ask at your local libraries if you're not into purchasing books. They're ebooks and hard copies. But one site I sell through, which I really enjoy, is called AuthorSpots. So it's authorspots.com. And it is an online platform that allows the authors to keep 100% of their profits. So I like that over some other options. And then so yeah, but that one is really good because you can sell unlimited books and write reviews and all the things, and you collect it all in one spot. But
Nice.
yeah, and that's actually it's internationally capable. So we can sell to out of maybe 20, 30 countries all over the world, and even authors from those countries can sign up.
Oh, that's awesome. So, how many books do you have so far?
Oh my gosh, I have 5 novels and 5 children's books. No, four novels and 5 children's books. My numbers are weird. And then I also have a number of short stories that have been published in different anthologies. So an anthology is a collection of stories generally on a topic. So I have one anthology that's like Halloween romance, or it's like paranormal and Halloween, but with a romance twist. There's romantic comedy, there's a single parent romance. So it's just all the bunch of authors get together and say, hey, we're going to write on this particular topic, and then all the stories come together. I like those because it gets me to exercise my creativity skills in a short way, where it's because my novels have a particular style. Like I go through the dark woman's journey and it's kind of epic. But like some of the other ones give me a chance to be more fun with some characters, or not typical with what I do. Some deal with magic, some deal with reality. It's a fun way to do it.
Awesome. What's your favorite book?
That I've written, or in
Yeah,
general?
from your books.
It's probably my most recent one. It's called Rooted Hearts. It's the beginning of a new series that I will be eventually working on. And this one takes place in Mexico. And what's really cool about it and why I like it is that it's very close to a point in my life that I went through. So let's do the math. It was 14 years ago this summer, I studied abroad in Mexico. And because I was a teacher and I had a chance to go for a month-long program in Cuernavaca, and I did. And then when I was down there, I was housing with this other woman who had gone down to study as well. And on our way to school every day, we would walk past this hotel that was for sale. And we kept the whole time, we would go, okay, we're going to buy it. We're going to come down. We're going to make this a business. We're going to make it into our thing and live here. And it would be a dream. And this book is if we had made that decision. So the main character's backstory is basically my backstory at that point in time. But then the story goes on if we had actually purchased that hotel and moved back. So it's kind of like one of those choose your path kind of thing. So I like that because it was got to explore the what if. So.
This is really interesting. I can't wait to read it. Told you, like, I'm gonna get that book.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And do you have a preference, like where people should publish? Because we see a lot of people actually publish through Amazon because it's the most common, like people talk about it all the time. But like they don't know a lot of like publish in other places, like it's very limited. I myself actually published on Amazon. I didn't know how to get my books to other places. So like what would your experience about that?
Yeah, I consider Amazon one of those necessary evils. If your book is not there, it doesn't exist. But I don't think that's the best platform. I mean, Amazon takes a large cut of your profit, and they don't do anything to market you for that cut. So, I mean, if I'm going to share a cut of my profits, I want it to go to someone who's going to, expand the reach of the book. And Amazon, and you have to put in more money to get that to happen. And I don't know, I've found the publishing quality of Amazon to be less than other platforms. I tend to go with a printer that's called lulu.com, lulu.com. And the quality of the print is better. They're also US based, so you get your shipments really quickly.
Nice.
And they can do full cover or full color, and their templates are very user friendly. So that's how I choose to go, because then through their global distribution program, it is sent to all the other platforms, and you don't really have to do anything else.
Oh, so they
Really
do the
nice.
distribution for you.
Yeah, you have to go through the checklist and all the things that they require, but once you get that, it's basically all over the place.
Oh, that's awesome. So you mentioned also you are a teacher. Like, where did you teach and when?
Yeah, I was a teacher. I don't teach actively now. But I taught middle school French, high school English. High school English is a second language.
Nice.
So I've taught all those things. but I mean, then I moved to Texas and I lost my certifications because I couldn't up I couldn't teach in Texas because that's like a different country. And
Okay.
it just because of the certifications they don't reciprocate. So I went back into editing. But I really enjoyed teaching because of the connection with young people, because young people are the most interesting because they have the most potential because they haven't solidified themselves into anything
Mhm.
yet. And so that
Yeah.
was really fun. But right now, or most recently, I've been directing plays at my kids' elementary school, so I'm kind of in teacher mode a
Nice.
little bit. Yeah, when I go, we were just at an event this weekend at a parade supporting the plays, and I was like a celebrity. So I was like, Miss Maldonado, oh my God, you're
Yeah.
here.
The fun activity.
Yeah, it's fun. But yeah, no, I like that. And actually, one of my future venues is or future ventures, I guess, is to really encourage young writers
Mhm.
to believe in themselves and artists. I'm working with this one girl who is a phenomenal artist and she wants to be an illustrator. And I'm like, well, hey, we'll see if we can come up with something. Because
Mhm.
yeah, if you can inspire the kids young, I think they can just be exponentially awesome.
That's awesome. And tell me a little bit about your children books. You mentioned you had 5 books for children. What are these?
Yeah,
Oh.
I got five because one's in Spanish. But yeah,
Oh.
so I've got these four that are above me. This one is Tears for the Butterfly. It's all watercolor art, which is really kind of cool. And it's basically about love, compassion, and empathy, and how if you push that out into the world, you get it back like hundredfold. Bartleby the Brave, which was my first one, that one's about really friendship and bravery and being strong in the face of bullying, which is really kind of neat.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tempest the Turtle is a book that my daughter inspired, and she's a character in the book. And
Oh.
that one's about finding and trusting true friends. So really trusting that people will be there for you. And then this one over here is just a silly book. It's called Monstery Donstery Doc, and it's basically the Hickory Dickory Dock that everyone knows, but it's mice monsters. So it's really silly. My son inspired it. So that's the one on you see is the Tempest the Turtle. That's my daughter. And
Nice.
yeah, we had a puppet read the book, which is fun. Um, but Monster Duster Dock is just a silly, like one of the monsters farts all over everybody. It's real departure from what I usually do. And then this is my most recent one. It's called Hugo the Humble, and it's a sequel to Bartleby.
Mm-hmm.
So because this is Bartleby's grandson Hugo, and this one's about peer pressure and sibling relations. So I like to go in the social emotional learning with my kids' books, and kids seem to really respond to the bird characters, just showing them like different ways to get through emotions. But it's not wacky. I don't think it's not like, oh, you need to be a good person. It's demonstrating it through the adventures. And I always have a little scary part. It's like in Hugo the Humble, there's a dangerous owl that they encounter because owls do eat sparrows. So yeah, but
That's
everything works out well, I promise.
that's good. And people can get those books on multiple
Yeah,
areas like Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and you mentioned
author
another
spots.
website,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
author spot.
authorspots.com.
So all
Mm-hmm.
these books. So guys, you need to go there and get those books.
Yeah,
That's
and
really
and
inspiring. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and through author spots, they can even get author signed copies. So which you can't get from Amazon. So
What
that's
is this?
fun.
What is this?
So I mean, I will sign the
Author
copies if
signed
they buy
copy.
them.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
if they
Okay.
buy them through author spots, I'll sign the
Yay.
copies. So
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Sorry, I didn't, your
oh, it's fun.
voice cut off a little bit. Like I was like, what is that?
That's okay.
Oh, yes, yes. That's awesome. Awesome. I'm really excited for your books. And this is really inspiring, especially like you've been a teacher. You have 2 kids. I know, like they are, how old are they right
They're
now?
almost 9.
Almost 9. So like firsthand experience with kids, like this is how, what's the response of your children to the books
It's
you write?
actually really funny. They really like the books. They want copies in their rooms, and
Uh-huh.
um at stores or at their school, my son particularly will just say, "My mom's famous. Did you know?" Like, to him, I'm famous. So I think it's really fun. But he's like my little salesman. If I'm ever at a vendor show where I'm selling my books, he'll go up to people like, "You need to read this book because my mom read it." I'm like, "You're
That's,
awesome, dude."
that's
Yeah.
cute.
And this one, my daughter's an artist, and it was basically her idea for the book, and I just expanded on it and made it into something more. But yeah, they like that they're part of the process,
Mm-hmm.
and that's fun for them.
Oh,
So
that's awesome. Thank you so much, Victoria.
yeah.
Thank you guys for being here with us. Like, we will be right back. This is your host, Noura Almasri, and this is Echoes of Impact. We'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. This is your host, Noura Almasri, and this is Echoes of Impact. I'm really excited to come back to our guest today, Victoria. Victoria, welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we were talking about the children books. Tell us a little bit about the other novels that you have.
Yeah, so my first novels that I put out are in a trilogy. They're here above my head. It's basically one, two, three, and like I was kind of touching on it before, but all my novels have to do with the women's journey. So and it's always something massive happens in their lives that they then have to figure out how to deal with. So one of the biggest themes that goes through all of them is you have to go through the darkness to come back to the light and to appreciate the light. And it really comes to fruition in the third book, which is Awaken Elysian Fields. And I always set them in different locations. So I've heard repeatedly that not only are my books enjoyable to read, but it's like going on a trip.
Yeah.
So because I take great pains, I've either experienced the location or I research it really intensely. So the first book takes place in Chicago, which you can see kind of upside down here because her world literally gets turned upside down. And then she goes to New Mexico, which is the mountains in the background. They're the Sangre de Cristos mountains. And so that's mostly in New Mexico. And then the second one, Running in the Mist, it takes place largely in Chicago, but also northern Wisconsin. And the location in northern Wisconsin is actually my grandparents' summer home that they used to have. And so, because I wanted to immortalize it because I was sad that they sold it. So that one's kind of she's working through her trauma of stuff that happens. And then the third one, Awaken Elysian Fields, follows a new character, but still related to the other two. And that one takes place largely in Paris, in France. I've spent quite a bit of time over there, and I know it better than I know Chicago. I would
Oh.
be more scared to go to Chicago than Paris. And this goes into the Loire Valley, and a very significant locations there. So and then my most recent one again takes place in Cuernavaca, Mexico. For the most part, there's a little bit here in the States, but predominantly in Mexico. But I like to, number one, go through the women's journey, but then also explore how their environment impacts their story. So,
That's
because
really interesting.
that's how my life works. I get impacted by my experiences and where I'm at in life, and so I just translate that to fiction.
That's really awesome. So you're highlighting part of your stories in each book that you have.
Yeah, there's little bits. Yeah, there's little
Uh-huh.
bits.
You know, I've always wanted to write a book about my story, but I never thought like, okay, I could probably do it a fiction, like on highlighting just one area. I was thinking, no, I have to probably write something like about a lot of things. So that's going to be very long.
I know. Yeah, but you can pick pieces and then focus on that and then elaborate that part. Like the next book in the Mexico series that I'm doing, it has a different main character, but what she's going through is something that I'm going through. And so it's also me psychologically working through my own stuff.
Yeah, that's really
So
awesome.
yeah, and I have a title for that one, but I haven't had much time to work on it for real. But yeah, that one's there's a character in this book that is going to be the main character. So in the next book. And but I have to learn gardening to write the book, and I don't do gardening. So I've been dragging my feet learning gardening, but
Yes,
yeah.
no, this is awesome. I mean, this is great. Like, I love your creativity, and I love that you did not stop there. You actually are available to help other authors or aspiring author, and you also want to have kids actually write. This is amazing, and this is very important. I mean, like writing a book, a great experience. So, like to have someone held their hand through that out that journey, that's amazing. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, well, one of my philosophies is seriously that everyone has a story, and you might have 20 stories,
Yeah.
but but most people, what I hear from most people is like, oh, I could never do that, or I don't have a cool enough story. I'm like, yeah, you do. You just have
Mhm.
to attack it and frame it in a way that will be accessible to other people. So I want to help encourage everybody to get their stories out, because what are humans if not storytellers?
Yeah.
So it's just a way
And
to get it tangible.
yeah, and it's can be helping other people. Like it's very inspiring to read another story that you can relate it to yourself somehow, because everyone can get touched in one point and like, okay, if she's done that, why can't I? Or like maybe you're inspiring, changing other person's life just from your story. So this is incredible. Thank you so much for doing that. And I know that you are a big part of actually you play a big role in a women networking group, WSOS. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, is WSOS is Women Entrepreneurs Secrets of Success. It's wesosnetwork.com. And that it's really an amazing networking opportunity because it is all women.
Mhm.
So there's none of the, masculine energy in there. Um, but we're predominantly interested in forming relationships in order to support our business. So we have a catchphrase that's called networking with intention,
Mhm.
because we intentionally network to really know the people. And because the theory is that if you get to know the woman behind the business, you simply want to support the business.
Mhm.
And it's not that you can't always use everyone's services or products or anything like that, but then you'll like, oh, I know a person who does that. I've gotten so much business out of that. I've been in it for almost 3 years at this point, and it has exponentially helped my business just because people get to know me and understand my passion for what I do, and that makes them want to take a chance to work with me. And then luckily they're usually pleased with it, so it works out on both ends. But yeah, it starts with networking, and we have it's a national organization. Most of the chapters are in the Chicagoland area, but we do have some in Southwest Florida, Colorado, in the Denver area, and then a brand new one in Arizona. So we're expanding, and it's just a really cool organization because you always get something new, even though the people are familiar. You're always meeting other people or finding out more about them, so that you want to support.
Yeah, this is awesome. I only went to one meeting and I already made a lot of connections. One of them.
Yeah.
And this is really exciting. And you never know what comes up from those connections because like as business owners, like we really need people who knows, like, and trust us in order to do a better business with them. Because when someone refers someone to you as well, like they're ready to jump in, they're ready to purchase your service, they support your even pricing policy and everything. They're not here to negotiate and just like take advantage of you. They're there to support you and they trust the person who refer them to you. So building relationship and having these referrals and knowing each other, like it's really important, like to have these networking.
Mhm.
um
And
so
well, sorry, go ahead. But like another aspect of WeSoS that's really cool is the opportunities that it brings.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I joined, I think, in October 2021. By November, I was actually speaking at a meeting and sponsoring at a meeting. So people were getting to see my books, they were getting to hear my passion, getting to see what makes me tick. And from there, it just opens up so many doorways. And so there's a lot of opportunities for that.
That's awesome. And how can people actually start a chapter, maybe if they don't have a chapter around them?
Yeah, no, that's very good. On the website, there is one of the directory pull downs. Basically, it says, "I'm interested in starting a chapter," or
Mm-hmm.
something to that effect. And we are looking for chapters all over the place. We really hope that you come experience WSOS and see what it is. But if you don't have one in your area, absolutely, you can reach out to the CEO and founder, Jean LaValle. And she's always willing to talk to people who are passionate about business and wanting to connect with other people. And yeah, all over the place. We would love to start chapters.
That's awesome. So there are a lot of networking organizations. What do you think would make WSOS so unique?
Well, it's the relationships, but it's also that we're not category exclusive. A
Mhm.
lot of networking places are, and it's basically a leads group. So you're just going in and giving cards and this and that, which is fine. It's efficient, maybe, but the WSOS is about the relationship. There have been, I think WSOS has been around for 11 or 12 years, something
Mhm.
in that range. And there are women who have been in it since the beginning, and they have formed lifelong connections and lifelong friendships. And your membership with WSOS doesn't stay with your business. It is you, and you can have 10 businesses, you can have one business, you can change businesses. It's really about you and what you're doing. So, I mean, I go in there and I talk. I mean, I've got my editing, I've got my books, I've got some charity things that I do. It depends on what I want to talk about that day.
Mhm.
But yeah, and it's the opportunity to speak. It's the opportunity to just get to know these amazing other entrepreneurs. Because I'll talk about entrepreneurship with some of my other friends, and they're like, "What? Why
Yeah.
don't you just want a 9 to 5?" I'm like, "Because it's not what I want."
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. It's hard to talk about your business. People get annoyed, like,
Yeah,
oh, I don't want to hear about this. But other business owners, they totally are willing to hear and share because they want to
yeah,
share as well. And you
exactly.
have the same goal, you have the same pain and great things as well. So
Mhm.
yeah, this is awesome. Well, thank you so much, Victoria,
Yeah,
for being
of
here with
course.
us today.
Thank
It
you.
was great talking to you.
Yeah.
Guys, this was Echoes of Impact with Noura. I hope you enjoyed and get out tons of value from our guest. Wait for next episode. That's going to be in July. July is my birthday month, so I'm going to have a great month for you celebrating my birthday as well. So wait for us on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Central. And again, remember to email me if you are interested in coming to the show or if you want us to actually bring someone on the show. Email me at hello@echoesofimpact.net. That is hello@echoesofimpact.net. That was your host, Noura Almasri. Until next time, keep making an impact.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.